Hello guys, welcome. My name is Victor.
My name is Jorge.
I'm Alex.
And we are the Big Screen Show. We're a small, short-form podcast just starting out dedicated to cinema and our love for cinema and TV. We're very excited for this. This is our first episode. We will be continue to come to you weekly with more content on everything that is new in cinema and in the TV, like in streaming. And we're just going to give our thoughts, review, and just have an open conversation with you guys about the new content that's being put out in Hollywood. So this is our first episode where we're going to cover the Secret Invasion episode 1 and 2 because that's already out. So our next episode will just be on episode 3. But yeah, so this is our conjoined episode for episodes 1 and 2 of Secret Invasion. So, episode 1 starts with...
Yeah, so episode 1 starts with introduction of where Agent Ross, who was seen from the Black Panther films, Wakanda Forever, and of course Black Panther 2018, where he's actually he was in Russia, I believe it was.
Yes.
Yeah,
Russia. And where he was actually meeting with one of these other agents who's
a guy we've never seen.
Yeah,
before.
He's basically just an Asian guy who's basically come up with this whole theory that's going on around the world, where different countries are attacking each other. Which doesn't make any sense, because usually one country invades this country, but then this same country invades a different country, so on and so forth.
Right.
Which doesn't make any sense. So it's like a very odd pattern that this agent that's talking with Ross, that he's trying to share the information with, and so he's basically come up with this whole conspiracy theory that he discovered that there are Skrulls here on Earth.
Right.
And
so he basically actually had it figured out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at this exact point while I'm watching this, I'm still a little because in good faith, right? And that's the whole thing about this show. I'm thinking that's actually Ross still at this point. So I'm still just a little confused, because I feel like if he's giving this information to Ross would know about it.
Yeah, well,
he's so close to Fury.
Yeah, but also one thing about this here is that I forgot where this takes place through Secret Invasion, because in Wakanda Forever, Ross was already on the run since the Wakandans actually saved them from a prison van they was going to.
Yeah.
So I really forget exactly where this actually takes place in.
In the timeline?
Yeah, especially with the Marvels coming out. Because in the trailer, so that we've seen for Secret Invasion, Nick Fury has his whole beard and stuff. Not sporting the eye patch or nothing at all yet.
Right.
But then, of course, in the Marvels trailer, he's got no beard. He's all clean shaven. He's clean shaven. And he's got his eye patch on, and he's up in space at the Saber Station.
Huh. So maybe the Marvels could take place prior to what we're watching right now.
I almost feel like it might be after.
It might be after.
Yeah, it might be after, depending on how
So you think it's potential that he gets clean shaven again and puts the eye patch back on?
Yeah.
Maybe, or that maybe for the Marvels he's a Skrull and it's not really Nick Fury.
The one we've been seeing?
Yeah.
Or the one in the Marvels?
The one in the Marvels, because we don't know how Secret Invasion is gonna end. So maybe by the time the Marvels come out, Nick Fury is not Nick Fury anymore.
Lots of questions.
And in Spider-Man Far From Home, we thought it was Nick Fury and Maria Hill, but that was on Earth with Spider-Man. But it was basically just Talos and his wife impersonating them for on Earth operation.
Because he wasn't here.
Yeah, he was up in Saber setting up the whole station with all the other Skrulls and stuff.
Yep.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. So very interesting. Lots of questions. Yeah, that's the general idea I had going on the entire time that opening scene was coming on. It's just a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. And I still had that really... That's what made the episode so great and felt so fresh compared to everything we've been given recently from Marvel, is that through the entirety of that episode, and even currently still after the second episode, you just still have so many questions. It doesn't feel very cookie-cutter like all the other things have felt. So that was great. I love that. And then...
Especially since we've known Ross for a while now.
Yeah, we've known Ross for forever.
And then we found out that he was a Skrull, so that left the audience in a dark place because we're uncertain about everything.
Everything, right. It was like the first break of what we knew to be reality.
Correct.
In the first, 10 minutes?
10 minutes,
yeah.
And it just leaves you the question, who's next?
Yeah, like, who's next?
Who's the next Skrull?
Who's who? Really?
Basically.
Yeah, really. I mean, if Ross, who we known for a while in other movies, is a Skrull, they're like, who else literally in the world, or even anyone that we know in like the MCU or anyone introduced in the show could be a Skrull.
Correct.
Right.
That's like the most crazy thing and like the most paranoia type as well. And this is very. It's like almost like how it is in like other spy movies and like that, and which I kind of love since it really goes like more like more like operative types of stuff.
Yeah.
It even plays out like that because as we find out later on, there's literally this other secret like Skrull faction.
Right.
Like we have like the Skrulls that have been working with like Nick Fury up in Saber and with Talos that's been around since like we last saw it Captain Marvel and Far From Home. But then we find out that like Talos's daughter is actually part of this other rebel Skrull faction that's placed in like these like nuclear wasteland area that the Skrulls can inhabit since like that's a nuclear waste zone that the humans can't go to.
Correct.
Right.
And we found out they're basically having
Which is, by the way, was it not Chernobyl?
I believe
it
it was
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl.
I think it was Chernobyl.
I thought it was
I think
Chernobyl, so it might have been.
I think
or maybe like similar
I
to
think
Chernobyl.
I think we can assume it's at least something similar to Chernobyl.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I first thought that's like the most known nuclear place that's like that's uninhabitable. I know on Earth.
Yeah, humans can't go there.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the way they
unless
have
they're fully, suited up and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and the thing is, they have this whole place set up where they literally have like regular citizen Skrulls in their little green skin, but then we have like their own like army section where it's literally just different, all the Skrulls inhabiting different human bodies, taking like their form and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we're basically introduced to like this machine where they have these innocent people held, and the Skrulls that's selected to be as part of like their like army in this war that they're starting. They literally take their shapes and forms, and then they have this like brain machine that was like that we saw in the Captain Marvel movie as they were kind of like exploring Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel's memories, and they basically use those machines, and the Skrulls after taking their bodies touched their heads, and they literally took all their memories and stuff like that. That made them like literally like the most secret operative that could be put say anywhere on the planet.
Right.
It literally has like the person's like all their memories stuff. So like there like really be no way of telling whether the person that you know is Skrull or not because they got like the perfect copy.
Yeah. On the surface and in the memories.
Yeah. Because anyone could test one of those Skrulls on, say, this one, like any one of us, right? We probably have like that one random thing that like nobody else knows about us, and someone could like, but maybe one other person does, and like but they're gonna, if they're getting a little suspicious, whoever could ask about this one random thing, and they would know it.
They would definitely know.
They would know it because they have these memories. They are them, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so dangerous. That's what makes them untraceable, as Alex said, and the most like secret operatives in the war, basically.
Yeah, the only way this operation gets cracked down on like a SWAT level, meaning like bomb rush, like oh shit, like there's crazy stuff going on, let's shut it down, is if they were to find those machines with the innocent people in them, which no one will. Because it's in a location where
no one
humans will
even
not
knows
go.
that's even inhabitable.
Exactly.
It's inhabited by the Skrulls.
So it's just not possible. It's very dangerous. So after that opening scene, we see Ross become a Skrull.
Yeah, after he was literally being chased by Talos, and after the Skrull impersonating Ross, so he fell off a building. He was still in the shape of Ross, but after he was dead, he then took the show the Skrull.
Correct.
And then he died.
Yeah.
Yes, he died.
Yeah, that was actually right when Maria Hill, like Nick Fury's right-hand lady, actually was working with Talos, talking about it.
Right. And then after that,
that was actually later on. That was literally when Nick Fury literally came down from space.
That's right.
To actually get in on this.
Let's talk about Nick Fury, guys. What do you guys think about Nick Fury right now?
At this particular moment, I just have the same questions that like Maria and Talos and them have. Like, why were you gone for? I think they said 5 years, right?
It was after he came back. He came back from the blip.
Yeah.
And he's literally just been up in space.
I thought my bad. I thought they verbally said 5 years. That's why I said that. I could be wrong.
I think 5 years was the time of the blip. Actually, since Thanos snapped the.
Yeah, okay, but he was also snapped as well.
He was 5 years. Yeah, but anyways, right. I just have like, what were you doing? Why weren't you here?
Yeah,
those are my questions at the time.
You also tell in the episode 1 how like Nick Fury has he's kind of lost his edge and stuff, where he's not like before the blip and everything. He was like the super spy who was like, I know what this is gonna happen. I'm always got a plan for like everything. I see all these angles and stuff like that. But then now we kind of see him like his most vulnerable, where he's not really have like much of a plan. He's just kind of like just going along with it, trying to get along information and try to figure things out along the way.
He's kind of cruising through.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
And he lost the respect of all the people he used to work with on Earth. You know?
Well, yeah.
They don't see him as the same.
No.
They
and why would they?
Yeah, they're literally doubting him of how he's even that effective
his
anymore.
Capacity to
why would you and you can't blame them. I mean, they've probably sent some kind of contact to him in those times, in those years, that span of time, whatever it is, where he's been up there and not helping, and he probably not responding and not coming down to help. So once you finally come back, you just have doubt, because it's like, you've left me out to dry when I needed you, say what, like, I don't know, like 6 months ago, for example. I'm giving examples, a theory, but like, you can't blame them, like, I could see the hurt Maria had.
Yeah,
for that time, like,
and,
she loves, but you could tell, and Talos too, especially Talos, because like, he's had to basically, due to things we find out later on in episode 2,
he's
had to just work very hard for the
Skrull refugees
for the Skrulls
still working around with them.
Right, the ultimate goal of just finding them a home.
And he still hasn't done that after all this time.
And he still hasn't done that.
Back in the 90s.
Exactly. Yeah, this promise is built from the 90s of finding a home for the Skrulls due to the Kree, obviously.
Yeah. In exchange for them to shapeshift as humans and live among us in peace,
Yeah, be part of the little operatives in other areas.
Correct.
If you think about it, since that's been going around, since like as it introduced in episode 2, and Fury and Talos literally had like all these Skrulls, as you said, Vic, that they're basically, in exchange for finding a home, you can like help work for us to be our operatives in the world and stuff. And it kind of makes you think like that's how Nick Fury got to such a very good high position. How he was able to utilize the Skrulls and help figure out all these different secrets and stuff like that. So like basically they help create Nick Fury the way he is.
Wow.
That's like an interesting thing to think about, right?
Yeah. Did you? Wow. That is an interesting thing.
Because even though by the time the Skrulls got to Earth, he was already a big spy. He wasn't.
Yeah, but he's definitely not who he is now.
He's not like Nick Fury from Avengers 1,
Yeah.
Which was like peak Nick Fury, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. Later on in the first episode, we see a conversation between Talos and Nick Fury in the train.
In the second episode?
In the first episode. Where they play the game, tell me something I don't know. And then Nick Fury started asking Talos, tell me something I don't know about this Kree Skrull, the Kree Skrull.
On the train?
On the train.
That was the second episode, but yes. It was second episode, yeah. It's all good. But yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah.
I love that scene. Painful scene.
In that scene we find out that there's more than 1 million Skrulls living on Earth.
Yeah.
Unchecked.
Just
uncontrolled.
Out there.
They're just out. It could be you. I don't know. Who are you,
bro? we could all be Skrulls.
That's the scariest thought. Like, we could all be sitting here, standing next to the person that we know for like all of our lives, or anyone new we met, and that thing they could just be a Skrull the whole time. They just took the form of the person that we know, and just has all of their memories.
That's right.
That's like the scariest thing.
Millions.
He told him millions.
Yeah.
He said. Basically told him, so Talos basically told Fury, so he withheld this information from Fury, obviously for an obvious reason.
Yeah, for years he said,
for years, yeah, it's been. I mean,
he's literally been calling all these different Skrulls down Earth because like Nick Fury wasn't able to do what he promised them since the '90s. Him and Carol Danvers never found him a home yet. Correct. So the only place that Talos could ever think about calling his refugee Skrulls is literally down Earth, where at least this way they have like people. Their own species that help them get through this.
Yeah, because they were being chased down and hunted across the universe, so they needed a place to save themselves, pretty much.
No, yeah, they definitely needed a home.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah.
However, I understand Fury's side because it is a lie from someone which we all know Fury does not have a lot of friends. But we can definitely say, and he would definitely say, and I think did, as a matter of fact, say Talos is one of those special few, like Maria, like Ross, that are close and have his full trust. So for him to come out with not just like a little lie, but this big, massive lie, you definitely felt Fury's pain because he felt super betrayed and just deceived.
Yeah.
And, He was definitely mad. He just said he told him to get off the train, or did he just get off the train at the next stop?
They basically told him after he got to the stop that basically where he's going to be separating from there for now. So
he was like, we're going our separate ways here.
Correct. I think just temporarily, because I'm pretty sure they're going to have to work together later. Because like again, their greatest threat has literally been like the greatest threat they're facing is literally a Skrull that was literally on their side. Because like introduced in episode 2 earlier flashback, literally their enemy they're facing now it was.
Gravik.
Gravik. It was literally a Skrull that was basically enlisted by Nick Fury to help him with it. And even then, after all this time, Gravik felt like Nick Fury never kept his promise. And then after Nick Fury, when he came back from the blip and just went up into space, like he basically thought that Gravik and the rest of some of the Skrulls that he took with him, basically thought that Nick Fury abandoned them. So he thought like, if you're not gonna help us find home, I'm just going to separate and do this myself. Correct. I'm just going to do it my way.
Correct.
And that involves literally, I'm just going to kill and take over
the world. Yeah.
And that's how basically like the Rebel Alliance formed, for lack of a better term. Sorry, a little Star Wars term. But we're missing actually, guys. We haven't talked about one very important event that had occurred once we basically that's the gist. We touched a little bit on episode 2, but that we basically episode 1 was a very informational, like, look, this is the situation we're currently in type episode.
The setup,
right. Whereas episode 2 was like where we really start seeing what's about to go down within this series. So, but at the end of the first episode, Gravik, who we just told you about, who is the big bad, for lack of a better term, he wanted to bomb Moscow.
Correct.
Russia. And Fury and Maria knew about it. So they went to go stop the bombing. It was like this central square, let's call it the Times Square of Moscow, right? Like just a lot of people, buildings, very highly populated, crowded space. And they get there too late. They knew who they had to stop. But again, in this show, who is actually who? Like, we don't know, And so a little bit of that happened. And we were too late. They were too late. And boom. The bombs go off. I believe it was like 3 explosions.
Correct.
Yeah, 3 explosions.
And we see a lot of chaos, a lot of mayhem. And we see a scene where Maria was chasing after, or Maria was face to face with Fury, and Maria was obviously with confidence, like I guess trying to like tell him like he went this way or something like this.
Yeah, trying to regroup
so that they could basically to like reassess the situation because the bombs went off. So now it's like plan B, like let's try to find them because they're here still. And next thing you know, we see Fury shoot her. And she falls down. Shot her once, right? Not twice?
Once.
Yeah.
Once.
Yeah.
Shoots her once. We're in shock because we're like, Fury just shot Maria.
Correct.
But then shortly after, you see Fury turn into Gravik, right?
Yeah.
It was Gravik, right?
Yeah, it was Gravik.
Okay, because I didn't know if it was Gaia. But, and he ran away. And then everything makes a lot more sense, obviously.
Right.
And then, of course, the real Fury then comes and sees Maria on the ground, bleeding out, and then the episode ends there. So that was a crazy ending.
It was.
We were left with, again, like, I'm going back to that original point. Like, the thing about the first episode is just, like, I just have so many questions, you know, and I love that, though.
Sets up the whole paranoia, like, you like hard to trust who is who.
Very hard to trust.
I was honestly speechless in that scene.
Speechless.
I was shocked.
Shocked,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even more so because, like, when that happened, I literally, like, I think a day or days earlier before the premiere of Secret Invasion, like, Kobe Smulders, the Maria Hills actor,
Mm-hmm.
like, she literally said how her character was supposed to have getting, like the most, like, in-depth, like, deep perspective of her character and like that.
Huh.
But then, after I saw the episode, I'm like, how is that happening? It's like, since you passed, like, in episode 2, they literally carried her coffin from Moscow to the U.S. where Fury was talking with her mother.
True.
Right.
So, like, and then, I tell you, not long, like, literally, like a couple days after, like, this is like 2 weeks after we had gotten through, like, episode 2, for the current week now, I literally saw on IG that Maria Hill's character was supposed to be coming back in the future.
Oh.
I don't know if it's going to be like in Secret Wars or sometime like later in like MCU films.
Okay.
So then I'm just thinking like,
Or maybe in a flashback too.
yeah.
Could
But then I'm
be.
also like, maybe she'd be coming back in the Marvels. I think depending on like where the timeline goes
Right.
and how like Secret Invasion ends. So
Right.
like,
Right.
I don't know.
We'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see and wait. One thing that last scene left us clear is that Marvel is really taking serious right now the villain and the impact it's gonna have in the show and in the MCU in general, because 2 things: he did detonate the bombs
Yeah.
and show he was going serious,
Yeah, he's serious.
and they killed one of our longest characters that we've known,
We've
which
known
is Maria.
for forever, right?
And to be honest, I thought that she was gonna be a Skrull. I thought
You
she was
did.
gonna turn.
You did tell me
Because
that.
the camera did like a little zoom out, and I was waiting for her to turn,
And then it ended.
it ended like that. And
Right
then
there.
the second episode starting, they showed us like her funeral, and I was like, oh okay, she's really dead.
She's
you know?
really dead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way the whole time that the week passed between episodes.
Oh
as well.
yeah.
I was like, bro, no way. I was like, they're not gonna kill her. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like first
Correct.
episode, like absolutely
Yeah,
not.
I literally
but-
thought I was like, no way.
right.
Right.
The other thing I want to
But she
appreciate,
was dead.
yeah,
She
other thing,
dead.
yeah, that's the one thing to appreciate here. It really gets the stakes really going. Sets a good, consistent tone throughout.
Yep.
And I will say, like how is there's 2 episodes so far, and like there's like no type of forced humor or anything that you've seen
Nothing.
in like the MCU from like the other shows or even like the past movies that we've had.
Yes, that's
And I just like really like that. They really keep me like grounded and serious as it really should be.
serious. Yes,
Correct.
serious. It's definitely serious. It's taking itself seriously, which I think is like the most important part, because I don't mind a joke here or there, but as long as you just show as a whole unified piece of content that you take yourself seriously, right? Prime
Yeah.
example of you not doing that is like Thor: Love and Thunder, for example. Like it never took itself seriously, and like the
No.
jokes were also just not good. But that's like 2 different
It's
things.
like all over the place.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Humor.
it's taking itself seriously, and I love that. And I think like the actors are like
Oh, fantastic.
are fantastic.
Amazing.
Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, he's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Nick Fury
Right
has
now.
like his most vulnerable we've like ever seen because
We've never seen Fury this vulnerable. That's
Definitely.
right. And might I add, this open. You know, going back to that train scene, which by the way happened right before we get to see Maria's coffin stateside, right? Because then shortly after, actually the very next scene after that train ride conversation, we see Fury by the jets where Maria's coffin is, talking to Maria's mother, explaining to his mother what had happened to her daughter, right? And so, where was I going with that?
I mean, at the end of the conversation, she
I forgot where I
tells
was going with that.
Fury to make it worth and not let her death be
Yeah.
in vain.
But I was going somewhere with it. What was I talking about before that? Oh well, I forgot. It's all good.
I mean, I don't know where you wanted to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where are you trying to lead off?
I don't know
Yeah.
where I was talking. I already forgot. My memory is like my memory, even in conversation, is already crappy. But it's all good. But anyways, so yeah, that scene was very about Fury's openness.
Oh,
So
right.
in that
right.
scene in the train, we actually see him open up and tell Talos about a story where we could assume he was a kid.
Yeah, someone young.
I
Cause they
think-
mentioned like talking about his mother and also about
Talking
this,
about his
about
mother.
this, about this girl. That
This
he
girl
put-
named Susie. I'm pretty sure her name is Susie.
Good memory.
Fact check me.
Yeah,
Fact check me.
I think you got.
I could be wrong, but fact check me. And just you can just tell, like, we've never seen, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've never seen Fury like pull up next to Cap and be like, my mom
Correct.
or something.
correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're seeing Fury be very open. He told this story about back in Alabama, riding on the bus, this, that, the third, the farm. Like, we were behind the barn doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see, you don't ever
He got
see.
real personal.
He got personal.
Yeah.
He got open. He opened up. He got personal, and that goes back to the whole. That made a bigger impact, if anything, on the fact that Talos broke his trust shortly after by telling him about the millions of scrolls that were spread out through Earth shortly after, because Fury basically expressed trust with that story,
Yeah.
and then the response to that is like a break of trust
Right.
from Talos.
To be fair to Talos in that scene, he also says that Nick Fury he actually disappeared after he came back from the second
He
blip.
did,
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
so he was like, yeah, you left us hanging, so we had to act. You
He
know.
had to improvise, yeah.
Yeah.
He had to do what he had to
He had to do
That's
for,
why
he had to do right by his people. He had
That's
to
why I
do
said
what's
I don't-
necessary.
I don't blame him. That's why I said I
Right.
said very clearly I don't blame him. I understand both sides.
Correct.
It's just like a crappy situation to be in, to watch happen, because like we like both of these characters, so we don't want any type of friction to occur that could possibly cause them to go two separate ways, like that conversation did.
Yeah.
Even though we all know, at least I hope so, it definitely better happen, but I think we definitely feel confident in saying that they'll reconvene at some point.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And
I think they have to, because like the missions they're both on, they cross paths at one
Oh,
point.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
More than
Oh,
once.
yeah.
More
Even-
than once, yeah.
Yeah.
They cross paths the whole way,
The whole
actually.
time,
yeah,
yeah.
they're just one linear line.
Oh, yeah.
So after the scene, which this I feel like we gotta talk about,
Oh, wait,
because
hold on. First, before we get into that,
Yeah.
what you said about how it's basically a bigger threat, we gotta talk about that whole scene where it was like literally like a council of scrolls.
Oh yeah.
well, yeah,
that?
this is actually the scene I was about to
Okay,
refer to. Yeah, so
Yes.
because like right after that scene in the second episode where we see Fury talk to Maria's mother, it cuts to Gravik and Gaia pulling up to some building in Russia. I don't know. And then they walk inside. You see, it's like heavily like it definitely gives a like not just anybody can walk in this building type vibe.
yeah.
Very important
like a
figure,
very-
private,
Very
private
important
meeting
location.
Very
thing.
exclusive superpowers
Look,
and
yeah.
influences, you know.
Yes,
It
and
gave me the vibe of like the G8, in a way. You know,
Oh,
the
yeah.
G8 Council is like very specific, like superpowers in the war.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so Gravik walks in. He's the last one. Tells Gaia to wait for him outside of this room. And Gravik walks in. We didn't know at the time, but he's the last one to come in. Everybody else is already there, and everybody sits down. There is the Prime Minister of the UK in there, the leader of the UN in there.
Of the OTAN.
The what?
The OTAN.
Who's
The NATO.
NATO?
Yeah.
Yes.
NATO is there.
I think the leader of Russia is also in the in there, and then Gravik, because I think there was just 5.
There's also like a media influencer from the States as well. If I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it was the person that was actually covering the whole news thing going
Correct.
on with like the Moscow bombings and
Correct.
other thing like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Gravik sits down, and at this point, even though I should learn and know better, I really didn't think anything of it. I thought Gravik was just trying to infiltrate. To be honest.
Fair enough. I
But
had a feeling that they were all scrolls.
Yeah.
Like when he got into the room.
Yeah, you told me that. That's what
Yeah.
I was about to say. You
Yeah.
told me immediately. You were like, dude, they're all scrolls.
I had my
man.
suspicions because like ain't no one can really just gonna be walking in like that because I don't think Gravik it
Fair.
has like a persona that he's taken where he's actually someone important figure. So that thing
Fair.
he's just rolling up on something like that.
Yeah.
You know it has to be a big scroll meeting or
Yeah.
something like that.
Fair.
Yeah.
Honestly, I buy that. Good point. You know, I'm in the moment watching it, and that's just what I thought first. So
Yeah.
okay. And then I think like one of the first things he says, because I think they were having some kind of little dinner before Gravik pulled up, and Gravik says, "You're eating the man's food. You're using the man's silverware," and immediately like we just look at each other and we're like, "Oh shit,
Scrolls.
yeah, like,
Yeah, and they was
scrolls." Okay, I'm like, this should be interesting.
Yeah.
And so how do we like summarize what occurred? Like, well, in summary, Gravik becomes basically like the leader of the entire like army scroll rebellion.
The
Yeah,
new,
they
the
made-
new general.
Yeah, the name
He's
is
the
Scroll
new general.
General.
He's
Correct.
the new scroll general. That's the actual term used. And I think the bigger understanding we came to after this scene was that, and we just told you the list of how many high-ranking, very powerful people and individuals were a part of this meeting, all in agreement that we're going to war.
All except for one person.
Which I think, was it the social
Na-
media?
Na- no, it was NATO's
It was
leader.
NATO, was it?
NATO's
Oh, it was
leader.
NATO's leader
Yeah.
that was not down. Yes, one. So, like, out of all who voted, I guess, because the UK Prime Minister scroll, she started the notion to have Gravik be the general.
Correct.
And everybody followed, basically asked, like, who is in favor of. Everybody was in favor of, except for the leader of NATO.
Correct.
Okay, so the leader of NATO was out. She left. They let her walk, but we assumed they're gonna kill her.
That's why I thought. I thought after
I
she had
thought- yeah.
gotten up or was leaving, I thought they were either gonna like shoot her in the back of the head,
Right.
or like bomb her car or something.
Exactly. Yeah, I thought this. I told him the same thing. I was like, oh, she's so dead.
Yeah, but then
I
I
was like,
think
there's no way she lives, but maybe.
I don't know because the thing about Gravik is
But if
like
she
he's not
lives-
gonna. The thing about Gravik is he understands the necessary passes of war, but I think like it'd probably be a very bad position for him to try and kill someone higher ranking like that because that would cause problems within where she's infiltrated from.
Mm,
But the thing is, he's also not above also killing when necessary because like in episode 2, like literally in episode 2, after one of these scroll men actually got tortured and interrogated
Oh, yeah.
after he knew that he had given him some information. So like, they literally had to drive him out.
That's the one they cut in the plaza, right?
yeah.
Yeah, the one that was
bomb,
in the meat locker.
They was supposed to be an American,
Yeah.
and that's what. Right.
Yeah. Which that scene is after this conversation.
Correct.
But yeah, actually, and another thing, you gotta think, that scroll that is impersonating the NATO leader has the memories of the NATO leader,
Correct.
which means they have the real NATO leader either in one of those cages or still hooked up to that machine, right? Therefore, if he were to kill that scroll impersonating the NATO leader, then the NATO leader never shows up. Some questions will be asked.
That would cause some major national issues.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
and then
itself.
you obviously can't release the real NATO leader because she's just gonna either be completely mentally fried because of God knows what they've done to her, or she's gonna spill the beans and tell everybody about what she went through. So like, you can't. Fair enough. I didn't think about that. You can't kill her. You can't. You have to let her continue in her position,
Yeah.
or else the entire mission is
To
compromised.
maintain appearances, at least.
To maintain appearances,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, she might go against it, but, like, you know, because I was thinking, like, NATO, right? Like, she's still in power of a lot of things,
Right.
war-wise.
Yeah.
So, like, if she's against this movement, who's to say she might be on the defending side of this war? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that's why I thought, like, maybe they'll kill her, because she might be
Interesting. Yeah,
something,
yeah.
something that gets in their way.
In a way, yeah.
I think
But I think you
probably-
still have to just go through that regardless because of what I just said. You can't kill her. It would ruin a lot more other things
Oh,
than
for
just
sure.
having another enemy in your way in a war. Because
Right.
you're already prepared for that anyways.
Right.
You get what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So what
Yeah.
were you going to say?
Yeah, I don't think like down the line it's probably gonna be in her best interest to actually align herself with Fury and Talos.
I agree. Ooh, good point. Yeah.
'Cause you
It would
see,
definitely be in her best interest to align herself with Fury and Talos. And I wouldn't put... I don't think that's far fetched.
Cause even said
Could-
she
it
said
could
she didn't
be.
want to put more of her scrolls in risk or danger. She actually wanted things to be peaceful.
Peaceful, right?
Because she didn't want like to lose any more. Just like Talos didn't want to lose any more scrolls and stuff like.
Right.
Because in episode 1, when Fury had to kill one of the scrolls that Talos was trying to fight, you can tell that Talos has like done this job for like way too long, where he's seen way too many of his own scrolls die. In fact, either in episode 1, it was really said that his wife that he's been around for like the longest time, she's dead. And also, and plus, add more perspective, as we said, we've mentioned like Gaia in this video so many
Oh,
times.
yes, we haven't
so
talked
to add
about
more,
Gaia.
So to add perspective on that, Gaia is Talos' daughter, and
Talos'
she's on the
daughter.
side, and she's on Gravik's side of the Skrull Rebellion at the moment.
Yes,
Right.
at the moment.
Although
yeah.
she's having second
So yeah,
thought.
so we see we're first going back to that first episode. Like I said, is very just like informational. Where we find out Talos' daughter, his name is Gaia, and that she's a part of the rebellion, basically, like part of the Gravik's side. But we don't know much there. And then so in the second episode, we're given this scene where, again, going back to a previous point we made, in the 90s. When the first Skrulls got to Earth, they were received by Fury, and he basically offered them, I'll find you a new home if you'll turn into humans and help me out, carry out some missions while I help you find a new home, etc., etc., that whole thing. Gaia is in that scene. We see Gaia, and she is distant from Talos. Her and Gravik, we both see, are just like, because I guess they were also trying to nod at like why they are today the way they are.
Yeah, although
At
they were
that
both.
time.
Yeah, they were both still young.
They were
children.
yes,
at
I
the
have
time.
to I
They were
have
still
to
young
clarify.
children.
They're definitely young. They're definitely kids. Gaia younger than Gravik, I believe.
Yeah, because
At
Gravik
that
was
point.
still young, but he was like soldier at heart already. He was already
Yeah,
hard. He was
yeah,
ready to
he
take
was-
up. He's ready.
He
yeah,
told
I'm ready
Nick.
to
He
step-
told Fury. He's like, I'm fearless. Like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight for my people. At that time, which he was, if I had to give an age, just presumably like 13 to 15.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
Earth
kinda
years,
range.
because I don't know how old he
Yeah,
are.
Earth years,
in like
of
their
course.
own
No,
planet,
he's
they
probably-
space. That's
Yeah.
different.
He's probably like a 1,500 years old. Yeah, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
He's like a young little teenager vibe. Whereas Gaia is like preteen to like 8 to 10 years old. I'd say
Yeah,
somewhere
around
around
there.
somewhere around
Around
there,
there.
Yeah.
somewhere around that range, just to give an idea.
But clearly,
But
after
if you
some
guys
time,
have seen it, then you would know that. But
yeah.
what?
But clearly, after some time, after the whole like Fury has never kept his promise, Gaia
Right.
and like Talos apparently had a split relationship
They
or something
had
like that, where
right.
she just chose like, okay, you're not doing anything, so I'm gonna go to Gravik's side, and we're actually gonna try and get this shit done,
Right.
get some stuff done.
Right.
But the thing is, also what's also crazy is like in episode 1, it was revealed that Talos told Gaia that it was Gravik and his Skrull army that killed his wife, since she again
in episode 1, yes,
Correct.
and that's a good thing to bring up. That was very early on in the story that we're witnessing in general to begin with. But when Talos told Gaia that, she was getting away with an artifact that they needed, that Gravik's people needed.
It was a bomb section.
Was it the bombs?
Yeah, it was the bomb that she was, the
Okay,
material
I-
bombs that she was getting.
Okay, I thought I was gonna say that that were gonna be used for the bombings, but okay, so they were the actual bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Gaia was sent on a mission to go get the bombs. She was coming back to give it to Gravik, and she then started being chased by Talos because they were on her back, watching, because they knew she was gonna go do that. Talos tells her that Gravik is responsible for her mother's death. As she's climbing up this ladder in a sewer, for lack of a better term, somewhere down there, and she stopped. And at that point, you could tell.
Yeah.
You could tell, like, a lot changed for her,
Yeah.
perspectively.
She was
I guess
questioning herself.
She was questioning herself. She was
Yes.
questioning Gravik. She was questioning
The
Her mission.
the mission,
Yeah. The purpose.
the purpose,
Of whatever
everything,
it was.
really. And she stopped for a good minute. It
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
like a quick little,
No,
like, 1
she actually
second.
stopped to gather stuff, because after she escaped, she literally, I think she really like knelt down in a corner, kind of like in like this whole panic silence.
Yes.
Silence of emotion.
She
with,
kept
like,
so she kept moving. She still didn't stay and like I guess turn to the other side
or to get caught because
or to get caught.
Because Maria was coming up on it too.
Oh yeah, right. So she kept going to try to get back to Gravik, but after that, that's what you're saying. That she had to stop at a place where she didn't have to run and like actually like gather herself because the impact of what he had just told her was so much.
Yeah, because again, she didn't even know that her mom was dead until Talos told her in that moment. So she was literally going through the motions of like, my mom is dead, and like, how long? And like, you're telling me that the person I've literally been swore my loyalty to and helping this whole entire time killed her?
Correct.
Right.
Like,
Correct.
where are my loyalties going to be lying at now? And literally, that's literally when she decided to actually help Talos and Fury by telling him where the bombs were actually going to be.
Yeah, so that's even how Fury and Talos and Maria knew where to go to try to prevent the bombings was because actually Gaia had informed them of that. So,
But they were actually decoys, if you guys remember. Because she said
the locations that she gave?
the bags.
The bags were...
Because she said she was going to put an infrared X.
Infrared X, right, yeah.
But the bombs were literally in different places because Gravik was up there already getting ready to blow the whole thing.
Correct.
That Fury
He always had the detonator in his hands. So it was kind of like tricky for Gaia. Because I don't know if she was
I guess that's probably just like the information she was given.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if she like meant to lie to Talos about the bomb.
I don't think she was lying. I just think that Talos was trying to change the plans because like I think he understands that he's like clearly a strategist, clearly. So I think he understands there's some information that you give to like your low levels, and something you kind of keep to yourself to make sure the mission goes successful.
Well, I think also he might have pivoted because when Gaia got back with the bombs, she informed Gravik that she was followed, that she was like chased.
Yeah, because I think
that it was like a little difficult for her to get out of the situation she was in.
Because I think actually, because I think by that time he knew that Nick Fury was back on Earth, and then I think episode 2, he basically said that he wanted to see Fury for himself, see how he was, and he could tell by seeing how Fury was, and when he saw him in the bombing area, he knew that Nick Fury was different and changed. Like he just didn't have that edge anymore.
True.
Right. Exactly. So going back to the original point, once we give that preface on Gaia, this episode, second episode now, as Gravik is moving, making his plans, talking to his people in this compound that's their safe house, safe location, because it's actually way bigger than a house. Basically, we see Gaia following Gravik loosely, definitely not closely, definitely from afar and from a distance. And you can see she says not a single word the entire time, but you can definitely see her like wheels turning in her mind.
She's definitely going double agent for this.
Yeah, she's definitely thinking like, what is he doing about Gravik? What is he doing? What is, like, has a lot of...
Where is he going?
Where is he going? What is he up to? What is he planning? She's definitely having second thoughts about this.
Yeah, because Gravik is definitely keeping things close to the chest.
Yeah, and I don't blame him. That's what makes him so good, Gravik. I think, like you just said, he's a strategist. He has this huge, like, just alpha energy oozing out of him at all times that he's on the screen, even when he doesn't utter a word. Which I think just does a lot for him as a character. And I think he's like concise in his words, but they like mean so much. True. They're like dense, like heavy, serious all the time. He's not playing around. He's a great villain so far. What are your thoughts on Gravik?
Oh yeah, I completely agree.
I love Gravik.
I completely agree. I mean, right on point. And honestly, it's kind of like how from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it was kind of like the Flag Smashers in a way. But I think hopefully it keeps consistent wise and doesn't kind of change midway as it was, because like with the Flag Smashers, they kind of made a pivot like close to like the later few episodes where they went from like normal people like helping out with like refugee and stuff during the whole blip thing with like helping like with supplies, medical things, helping orphanages and stuff like that. But then these kind of like full terrorism thing that's kind of like went in the opposite direction of what it was. That kind of made them less sympathetic and just made them like more common criminal and stuff like that. So I hope they keep more consistent and like balance where it just sounds off that Gravik is a well-defined leader, strategist, and want to do what's necessary for his people, but also want to take out anyone that gets in his way. But also trying to make sure that he like doesn't want to do too badly with his own people in a way. It's like he still has
The
to
people
use them.
that are on his side of the cause.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Because I don't think he like wants to put that like he doesn't want to have to. I don't think he really. He's not. He does have to like to use them. The ones specifically who are chosen, who actually volunteer for like the being like on his side in this war as active. But he also
He's also playing like a role of like what you were saying. They also just have like a civilization within their compound that's just Skrulls like living there.
Yeah, because he also he definitely wants more and better for his people, but he's just going like the more extreme method compared to what Fury and Talos wanted to do.
Right. Yeah, I think they actually both have. That's what's funny, right? They both have the same goal in mind. They just have like two completely different methods of going about it. Although, I feel like somewhere deep inside of Gravik's goal, I think he also likes this sense of like power.
You think so?
I think because like, why does he want to go to war?
I think it's a consequence of everything that happened throughout his childhood and then later.
To him.
Yes, to Gravik.
Like clearly, he's definitely gone through more than like any type of child is going through. He's literally like like I said, in episode 2 in the opening flashback that still take place in the 90s,
Right.
he was already hard. He was like ready to go to war and do what's necessary because like he's probably seen like probably some of his closest friends, even like some of his maybe family members probably have died because I think he was literally like an orphan refugee like alone, and he had to like. And and it's like literally with him being like an active spy, learning, getting stronger, smarter, it just made him like just like harder and knowing that in order to do what's necessary, you have to be stronger and smarter than the opponent that you're going against, the enemy, and willing to do anything.
Right.
Yeah, I personally love Gravik. I think it's a fantastic villain so far. I love his background. It's honestly one of the few villains I can remember right now from Marvel that has like a good background story, so we understand his motivations behind what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how serious and imponent he is on screen.
Yeah.
Every scene he's in, he's like his presence just feels there. He's
because he's got
everything.
he's got that commanding presence. Like he's been doing this thing for a long time. He's got the loyalty of the people, so they're willing to follow him without question, and they know he's gonna be able to back it up because he's done this thing for so long. He carried out every single plan.
Correct. And beyond his decision, as Alex says, his impact and his actions, and as we saw, he was able to detonate the bombs. He was able to kill Maria, something that. For the audience, for us, it's very impactful because we don't think that the villain is gonna take it that far that quick.
Yeah.
But he actually did it, and I wasn't shocked, to be honest with Gravik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but again, my question is, why war? If his mission is to get them a safe place to live, why the need for war?
I think it also goes back to like episode 2 with Fury and Talos, where Fury was telling Talos like with so many decades have gone by, humans and different species stuff can never like
they cannot
we can't never get along, or he's cannot coexist.
They cannot coexist, and as Nick Fury said, even already us, just humans on Earth, can already not coexist.
Correct.
You can't throw a new species into the mix.
A new intelligent species.
A new intelligent species, and think that we will then be able to coexist when we can't even coexist with ourselves already. Which, by the way, he was spitting when he was saying that. It was like
straight facts.
Straight facts. Yeah, he was like speaking to the choir. But I'm listening. Continue.
Yeah. So that's why, with that in mind, it's basically why like if Talos Gravik is literally like. If we're not going to be able to coexist with humans and we're just going to keep remaining in hiding, we might as well literally, with the millions of us we can take control, take out all the humans and let the Skrulls own and take over this whole planet until we can finally have a home without having to hide who we are. Because again, they literally have to be in hiding and literally have to be in someone else's form and skin for like so many years, just for the sake of a promise that has never been fulfilled.
Correct. Correct.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it could
No,
also
that makes
be,
sense.
It could also be like he understands how powerful the scrolls are, and he could just like take over the war. Although
That's what I thought.
yeah, although they mentioned like I think it was Talos, he asked Nick to bring the Avengers pretty much,
And then
Nick says that they
said,
can't
"Heck
bring
no."
the Avengers into this problem because if the scrolls get to capture one of the Avengers, they could shift into the event. Like
Oh, back to that one. Yeah, that actually, no, that wasn't Thomas who did that. No, this is something that we really have to talk about.
because we haven't talked about this scene with Rhodey.
Yeah, because that's
and
actually where that scene came from. So
Okay.
let's get to Rhodey. How
Yeah.
he's like he's completely changed
Oh,
back to what
yeah.
he used to be.
Yeah.
We see a little bit of him in episode 1, but which you're already like, what are you doing?
I'm suspicious of Rhodey, to be honest.
Oh yeah, me
I think
too.
it's a scroll.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I literally like a couple days ago, I really watched it up.
Let's explain why we're suspicious of Rhodey.
Right.
I think for one of these reasons, it's like literally the reason how Rhodey was like so quick. So I was like so quick to want to get like, hey, why don't we bring in the Avengers in on this? And back to what you said, Jorge, Nick was all like, are you kidding me? We bring in the Avengers on here. We're basically gonna have the Skrulls get their hands on them. We're basically just gonna have Avenger level terrorism going on
Correct.
here.
Correct.
It's be like what happened with like Civil War, where it was considered terrorism. What happened? It was considered like terrorism stuff. What happened like for COVID
Imagine-
in countries.
Imagine a scroll turned into like, I don't know, Thor, and you just see Thor like come to like New York and just like flying over it, just like
Yeah.
thundering, just
Spidey.
civilians.
Yeah.
That would be screwed. Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Anyone.
You can't. I
anyone,
think we
super
bring him
good.
in like an absolute like worst case scenario, like Plan Z.
And the thing
You know
is,
what I
well,
mean?
even if we did bring the Avengers in it, they still don't have the same problem. They're not gonna know who to trust or know who to.
Exactly.
All they know, because they're then that would get suspicious of each other.
Correct.
But let's say they go on a separate type of mission or something like that. If we
But-
have a scroll,
But okay, so Rhodey basically, us as an audience, or at least us as a group, I don't know, like everybody has their own opinions, right? But we feel very suspicious about Rhodey because he's playing the biggest politician role we've ever seen him
Yes.
play, like literally ever. Like he's
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
you know, stick it to the man.
basically covering because like literally in like episode 2 with the whole like conference thing with like NATO.
So yeah, so
the
after
NATO
that
was?
meeting that they had, that Gravik had with the other scrolls and the world's powers, there was a meeting then that panned to, I believe somewhere in the UK or Russia somewhere, with other world leaders, including the UK Prime Minister, who we now know is a scroll, all on one side of the table of like this table, you know, in one of those like government buildings, with Rhodey sitting like it's like a government courtroom with Rhodey
It's
sitting.
not like a hearing news.
It's
type
like a
thing.
hearing thing, right? And so like with Rhodey sitting as the speaker and representator of the United States,
Correct.
and because they were basically questioning him because the world's powers and leaders had, I guess,
Because
How do you-
they had to respond for the
for the
Moscow
terrorist
bombing
attack
and
the
stuff.
bombings.
because they captured the American, which we know it's a scroll. So now the
but-
whole war is blaming the United
But
States.
they allegedly believed that Nick Fury and Maria did it.
Correct.
That was the
Yeah,
whole thing.
oh,
So
correct.
then
They had-
Rhodey
yeah.
had to basically,
Deny
I guess,
everything.
deny and defend Nick Fury.
Well,
As
he
far
wasn't
as that's-
defending. He wasn't defending Nick Fury. He was more like just
Oh.
denying any type of allegation that he
You-
was in there.
I
he was trying to,
consider-
he was trying to cover the U.S.
Correct, more than Nick.
Right,
more than
actually,
US.
right,
Right.
actually, because he was never like, you know, Nick Fury would never. It was more so something along the lines of like, you know,
He was trying to
All
cut
you
ties
have
that
is
like
just
if they did do that,
accusations.
we didn't have any involvement. The U.S. didn't have any involvement in that. Nick Fury was
Right.
a private citizen going off to Russia doing his own thing. They were just
Right.
trying to cover up the president in America.
right.
Yeah.
So which goes back to that whole thing. So right after that, right, he gets a call. He picks up his phone. Rhodey gets a call, picks up his phone, and it's Nick Fury. They set up a meeting, and that's when I think the most like impactful thing happens for me as far as Rhodey is concerned, because we really see him like holding on to like the president's balls like so hard right there.
Yeah.
like, you know, I don't know, like, it's funny, but, like, it's true. Like, he literally is, like, you know, you would think he'd, you know, after all we've been through, right, like, all these years, other galaxies and stuff, you're, like, literally defending the U.S. over listening to your friend. And I go back to, so Nick Fury, basically is asking Rhodey for help, right? Because he knows this war is coming. He knows this issue is now out of his control due to the information Talos gave him that there's a million scrolls, unidentified, uncontrolled, unsanctioned, just running around on Earth. And he gave him a rundown on actually the situation that's going on with Gravik and stuff. And he's asking Rhodey for help. He says, I know you can help me. Rhodey tells him, no, I can't. And he's like, don't give me that. Because, like, you know you can do anything. Basically, like, he didn't quite say that, but, you know, like, there's never a can't.
Yeah, he was insinuating that a problem this big you can do, and you have to do everything in your power to try to, like, solve it.
Because he said, you know, he can't.
There's no politics in this issue.
Right. He basically said, like, there is no can and can't in politics. There's basically just, like, you can or you just choose not to.
Correct.
You know? And so, one thing you brought up to me was that why that scene. Okay, no. So he asked for help. Rhodey denied him, and then the big other impactful thing that happened, he fired Nick Fury.
Like, you're trying to fire Nick Fury. You don't fire Nick Fury.
You don't fire Nick Fury.
What a crazy scene.
It's crazy.
I can't believe
my jaw dropped when he said, basically, did he say you're fired?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're fired, right?
Yeah.
Explicitly.
Explicitly, quote unquote, you're fired.
Yeah, Nick Fury literally said, you're firing me.
Yeah.
Right.
You came here to fire me.
Right. You can't fire me. You know, and I love his response. He said, even when I'm out, I'm still in.
Yeah.
I love that. Because it's true, though.
That was some boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was back a little bit more like that old Fury back in his step.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we've seen him like as this like completely, almost like grandpa Nick
Basically,
Fury.
yeah.
You know? So that was more like 2012 Avengers
Correct.
Nick Fury, like, you can't kick me out. This is my shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but I want to touch on this really quick because I think it made a big impact on me when you told me, which was why it hurt us so much to see Rhodey being politician, pushing off Nick Fury, firing him even,
right,
and not taking him seriously. When Fury's coming to him as a friend, as someone who has his full trust and believes in him for help, and he doesn't. And I think one thing you told me that sticks with me, and I want you to touch on this, was that you said Rhodey, like, basically never cared about, like, the war, like the thing that Fury was proposing to him. Like, did not take him seriously.
Yeah, that's exactly
to me, I feel like after everything they've been through, after everything that Rhodey has been through in the MCU, and then Nick Fury, after years of not seeing him, comes down to Earth and presents to him this information of the war that is not coming. It's already here, and I feel like Rhodey never took it seriously or cared enough to the level that required the issue.
Yeah, he even gave like silly responses like, "Oh, so you're presenting me with a problem that like only you can fix and only you can solve."
Oh
like,
yeah, that was the main thing what I saw from the TikTok. It was literally like that. Why I was thinking it was literally after like Rhodey tried to get Nick Fury to like, "Yo, call the Avengers," but then when Nick Fury was like, "No,"
which is another silly response, by the way.
Yeah, it's like literally after that one. That's literally when Rhodey started to like segue into thinking like. Quick was trying to like dismiss this thing and like firing.
That's the word.
He was basically saying that
dismissive.
That's gonna fix itself, you know.
Right.
Eventually, all wars fix itself.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, okay.
He was very dismissive.
Yeah.
That's a great word.
Yeah.
That's a great. He was very dismissive, and I think that made an impact on me because I was like, I guess I didn't see it through that side. Like I definitely felt negatively about Rhodey in that scene, regardless. But after you told me that, I saw it from this like different angle, and I was just like. Dang, you're right. Like, that hurts to see, because, like, you think if, like, in any other scenario, like 10 years ago, prior to this, like, if Fury comes to him with a serious situation like
Oh
this,
yeah.
he's listening both ears
Oh,
on
100%.
the whole time.
He's the first one they're helping.
Right,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it's like, dang, this dude really is just
So yeah. It feels
Washington
like- so, yeah.
D.C.
Yeah.
You know,
But again,
clock
we
in,
don't know.
clock
We
out.
don't know if it's Rhodey.
Right,
No,
so
he
he
really-
thinks. So y'all think he's a scroll?
I think
Yeah,
it's a
if
scroll.
he's a scroll, that literally means that they literally have Rhodey all strapped up with the rest of innocent civilians all locked up with access memories, with literally access to like the high president's secret and stuff like that.
Oh crap! If a scroll has
And then
a
he
hold
literally,
of his
literally
memory.
have like the ear to like the president and government at that point
Yeah.
because he's
US
like literally
government.
he's a colonel. That's like high in the
Yeah, it's
military
high.
status.
No,
he's an
he's-
officer.
He's definitely talking to the press face to face.
Oh yeah.
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 He's high ranking for sure. Wow. Man, this show is crazy, yo.
Yeah. That was a great scene.
It was a
Yeah,
great
that was-
scene,
For
regardless-
me, that's the best scene in the whole show so far.
So far,
Yeah,
okay.
That conversation.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
like plenty of
With
shocking
Rhodey.
moments, but let's get to like what happened in like the final scene
Oh
of
my
So,
episode
yeah.
2.
So
Let's get
so
that.
to wrap it all up, after that, actually that specific conversation that Rhodey and Fury have, he got fired, right? Like we said, so he's like out on his own. Actually, in between the scene we are about to talk about and the Rhodey conversation scene, wasn't that the Gaia following Gravik?
Yeah, I was gonna mention it. So in that scene that we see Gaia following Gravik, she actually finds a computer with some files on it, and they're very interesting because we can see that they have files on Groot, on a Frost Beast, on Call Obsidian, which is one of Thanos' children, and we also see Extremis.
Extremist?
Yeah, from Iron Man 3.
That's right.
So what I assume is that somehow Gravik and his
People?
doctors and scientists
Okay.
are tweaking or mutating the scroll DNA to give them different powers besides the ones that they already have. You know?
Oh yeah, become like a super scroll like from the comics.
Yeah, because
That's your
in
theory?
because in the trailer at least we can see a scene where Gravik has like the tree arm from Groot.
In the trailer of the show?
Yes.
I have to go back and watch that. I can't
I
recall
remember that one.
Yeah.
Oh wait, maybe.
Yeah, there's a part in the trailer that he does this, and it's like Groot
Really?
putting out his arm like a tree.
Oh,
In
yeah.
the trailer for the show?
For the show,
like
yeah,
before
yeah,
it came
yeah,
out?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I have to go get...
Yeah.
Oh,
So I think eventually like either Gravik or even more like Skrull soldiers, they'll become like super Skrull soldiers with different like powers beyond, like besides the ones that they have already.
Right.
So they're gonna become even more of a threat that they already are, you know.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
gonna make it
you-
be more difficult to fight
Oh,
against
yeah.
them.
Yeah, you give
Yeah.
Gravik long treat movement, like Groot, and just like Groot's abilities in general, so
Right.
he already becomes way more dangerous, and all those others. And
The powers like the frog, like those
yeah.
frog beasts, and then with
Frost
extremists, those
beast.
extremists had like the huge heat power and stuff like, and also had the whole like spontaneous combustion.
Correct.
Like
Right.
from Iron Man 3.
So like regeneration as well. A
Yeah.
little bit.
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
So right in between the Nick Fury getting fired scene and the scene we're about to talk about, we see Gaia following Gravik, and we see her wheels turning like we said, so I believe she's gonna eventually come and turn to Talos and Nick Fury's
Oh, yeah.
side.
And I said double agent she's trying to do.
Yeah.
A
right
little
here.
double agent vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, but then the episode ends and we catch up, which is like where we are at currently, with Nick Fury fleeing the location of, not fleeing, he just left the conversation, the location of where that conversation with Rhodey happened, and finds himself in like this like kind of hidden garage little thing or
It's
whatever.
actually like a little house that was hidden out. So it's like
Right.
oh,
It's like
like
this
a
little,
little-
it's like a little safe house or
Yeah.
something that had like a little garage, and he like
Correct.
opens it and there's a car. He gets in the car and he starts driving. Pan to him on the road. Keep driving. He pulls up. Then it pans to a house,
yeah.
and it goes inside the house, and we see
Very remote house.
A very-
yeah,
very
that's like what I mean. Like
like in
very
the
remote part of
trees,
the
in the
house
woods.
like there.
Yeah.
remote house, and this is now not so Nick Fury. As far as we know at this point, he's just driving. Then it pans to this like remote house, and then it goes. It shows a scene inside that house where a scroll. There were scroll hands where just on a kitchen island, cutting up like some vegetables or something.
Yeah, they showed like the head.
Kind of making dinner. Did it show the head?
Yeah,
Yeah, it showed the
Okay,
head.
so never mind. It showed an entire scroll human, because I can never tell if they're women or men.
Right.
So like an
And you
entire.
can't just go by like the outfits that they're wearing, so you just have
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
assume.
Right.
Oh, we can assume it's a female scroll.
Yeah, she
Okay.
was, yeah.
Okay, well then, and then cutting up like some vegetables, kind of like a making dinner type vibe. Then it pans back to Fury in the car, and you see Fury pull up into the driveway of the same house it had just panned to before.
Right.
We see Nick Fury walk in. No, we don't see Nick Fury back inside. It pans back to that same kitchen shot of this woman now in human form, and we see Nick Fury walk into the kitchen. So already you have questions, but then she sees him walk up and goes, basically like, like, don't forget to put that thing on, and points at a ring. He goes, gets a ring, and puts it on his finger. And then and Fury walks up to her and kisses her, and then boom, episode over.
Yes.
Crazy.
That's a WTF moment.
It is definitely a WTF moment, like, because of two things. One, Fury is married?
Right.
Question mark?
Yeah.
And two, Fury is married to a scroll?
Yeah.
Question mark, question mark, question mark. Like, what?
I need a flashback of that in the episode.
Oh,
Like, how did that
Please,
happen?
please.
Like I hope that I see that.
What a player, though, huh?
Hey, man.
Man, dude.
Man. You know Fury was a dog, bro.
He was a player back in the day.
Yeah,
He
back in the
mentioned
day,
that on the train.
we talked about it on the train, like I said. Boy, he was back behind the barn, you know. He said it, you know. Yeah, he was a little
He
player.
was getting it.
I mean, I mean, hey, Nick Fury got some energy to him. I just never knew he had the time, though.
Right.
Yeah,
He's
he always was just too busy.
He's always
being a
been
super
so
spy.
busy, right? Being a super spy. But
All
yeah, so
work,
that's
man.
where the episode ends. That's where we are currently. Episode 3 comes out this Wednesday. And we're very excited to watch. Things that I would like to see is, I agree with both of you guys, like a flashback and some information on this relationship that Nick Fury has with this woman, how it happened, and just any kinds of answers, and preferably answer all my questions about it, please, because like what? And so, but that goes back, and so now, so the episode ends. So let's discuss, just to wrap up, like, our general thoughts on the show. But along that line, I want to say, like, that scene where it ended on episode 2, where we see Fury married to a Skrull, that goes back to my point of why I'm loving this Fury. Like I said, he's very open. It's an open Nick Fury.
It's a completely different Nick Fury.
Completely different Nick Fury.
Totally vulnerable.
Very vulnerable, very open. Anytime I've ever seen Nick Fury on the screen, there is this huge guard in front.
True.
Right?
It wasn't until the show where it's like, it's down.
It's down, it's not even gone. It's not even there. I mean,
It's non-existent.
It's non-existent.
there.
He's
Gone.
giving, like I said, he's giving backstories with his mom. We see him married, with a woman. So like he kissed her. We've never seen Nick Fury kiss a woman before.
True.
On camera. But I like it though. That's what is making this show so special, I think. And Gravik as well is also that counterback. That's why you feel a little bit of fear too, no? See if you get what I'm saying by this. Because we've never seen Nick Fury this week, and the fact that we see Gravik as such a strong force,
True. Okay.
it makes it even a more scary of a situation.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Gravik is basically what Nick Fury was in his prime up until now.
Interesting. Interesting.
That's an interesting idea. I buy it. Sure. Yeah. Valid.
Like
I
same energy, same
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
and
Same. Just like
yeah.
this. They're
Just
they're just moving
right,
similarly.
Just a different method, because the end, the goal is the same, which is like to save the scrolls, pretty
Right.
much, but the methods are completely different.
Right.
Obviously.
But as far as like the energy and the way they go about that
That
alpha male
yeah,
energy
for sure.
is definitely very similar when it comes to their parallels. Yet one's like kind of you think, right? You think he's like down here, meaning Fury, because of just how weak we've seen him like never before. I mean, even his own, like we said, even his own
friends,
his own friends and allies
they
have
doubt
some
they doubt
doubts.
him. That he can get the job done now. How he think that he just needs to walk away and let them take care of this.
Right. So I asked the question now. I ask you guys the question. Just like overall thoughts. What do you rate it right now? Where's it ranked? Like I don't know. Just like well, not where's it ranked, but like like what's your rating on it so far?
What do you
are your
think about
thoughts?
the show?
What do you think about the show?
Right.
Just general.
Well, to me, I honestly I'm loving the show.
Okay.
I think it reminds me so much of Winter Soldier, which is I would say it's my second favorite movie of the MCU.
Yeah, that's definitely like in my
Is
whole
it?
top
Yeah.
10. That's
Yeah.
definitely my top 10 list of like the best MCU films.
Well, yeah, it's in my top 10, but
Right.
that's your
For
top
me,
2?
yeah, for me,
top
it's
two?
for me, it's the second best movie of
It's
the
the second
MCU.
one?
For sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
good to
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
in a different video we can run down our favorites.
We could.
Yeah,
we could.
good
Yeah.
top 10. That's a thing. It's a big,
Yeah.
that's a big
great
thinking
idea
process.
for a video.
Yeah. But
So
okay.
yeah, I'm loving it. It's just giving me Winter Soldier vibes. I love the new
It's
characters.
definitely very serious, like Winter
It
Soldier.
is.
Like,
yeah.
the tone, how serious it is. That's why I love off the bat. I can just tell off first episode. Because I'm literally just been getting like tired of like too many forced jokes and stuff like that
Yeah.
with the MCU. That's been like its lingering, consistent problem.
Right.
Yeah, same. And yeah, as I was saying, I love the new characters. I love that I'm loving the story because in Captain Marvel I never quite got to get into the whole Skrulls issue.
Right.
You know, whereas with Secret Invasion I'm starting to understand it more
Mm-hmm.
and to, you know, be more intrigued by episode, you know.
Right.
So I can't wait to see where this show is gonna take us.
Because in Captain Marvel, we were more focused on Carol Danvers.
Correct, on her
Then the
story and the
Skrulls.
importance she was gonna have
They
in
were
the
more.
future.
They were just more of like a B part to that movie.
Correct.
The
And-
Skrulls.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And
Yeah.
also like we had like Endgame coming after Captain Marvel, so we didn't really care about like the Skrulls and their war or anything.
Right.
We just
cared about
her.
her coming into.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Which was
So-
actually, to correct you, it was Infinity War was about to come out. When Captain Marvel
Yeah.
came out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
okay,
But it's
gotcha.
okay.
Right.
Continue. Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm loving the new characters. I'm loving the the plot twist, like Nick Fury again back on the scene,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't wait to see where this show is gonna take us.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh yeah, for me, I'm very loving this show because, like I said, this tone, how serious it is, no too forced humor. Like I'm loving it. It's great. Like I said, we're getting to see like more vulnerable Nick Fury. We're getting to see a lot more in-depth stuff like the Skrulls. How like because again, it was really more like kind of like a minor thing, but the Skrull situation in Captain Marvel, and now we just kind of got to see like what the whole situation is now and how more serious and how potentially dangerous it can be because
Yeah.
like out in the world and we don't know who's who. I'm really loving it. The new character that we're being introduced to are really great. Returning
Oh,
characters are the good, like Talos, Nick Fury, and stuff like that. Emilia Clarke as Gaia, she's like doing a great job
Fantastic,
right now.
yeah.
So yeah, she's definitely like my top one of my top characters so far
Nice.
in this series. Nick Fury still be number one because Samuel L. Jackson.
Same,
that's
right,
my-
same,
my
same,
guy,
same.
you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
That too.
Well, it's a really great show. Good tone. It's really getting like Jorge said, gives a little more like Winter Soldier vibe. With like more
Correct.
like covert, operative, spy business and stuff. And I'm like all for that ground tone. That's what I love most in like movies and things like that.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, I agree with everything you guys just said as well. Like, the show so far is literally borderline perfect for me. Like, this is exactly what I needed. I think Marvel needed to make a show like this to
Yes.
show them that it was still in their bag of tricks, you know, like in their capabilities, that they were still capable of doing a good show or good content, serious content that wasn't just all laughs and jokes.
Right.
I think they needed to do this.
That same old Marvel formula. in a
Right,
way,
exactly.
you know?
Yeah, that copy and paste, right? That cookie cutter stuff, right?
Correct.
So I think it's like so good. I shouldn't have to say it, right? That some good thing from Marvel feels refreshing, but sadly it does because it's just been so inconsistent before. I'm not saying they haven't had good projects, right? Like No Way Home and like
Guardians.
Guardians, right?
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi,
Shang-Chi,
right?
yeah.
They've had great projects as well, but it just felt very inconsistent and leaning more towards the negative side of that inconsistency than the positive side, right?
Correct.
And when it was leaning more towards that negative side of the inconsistency, I'd say it was mainly, at least in my opinion, at least when I have seen these things, it's in part because of the fact that they don't take themselves seriously.
Yep.
And I think that's what hurts me, like my feelings the most when I watch these. It's because I expect so much, and I want to be wowed like I used to feel. But then sometimes when it's one of those not so great projects, it's like you can be bad. You could like Thor: The Dark World, right? Like it's not a good movie, but at least it tried to take itself. It does take itself seriously.
Yeah, it does take itself
It just fails, and its actual like as a movie it just fails, right?
Right.
Like plot and writing and like just how it was like put together, right?
Right.
I think it fails in that way, and that's completely okay, right? Like we can't expect every movie to be like a major hit, and that's okay, but at least it took itself seriously.
You can see the effort that was more put into what was trying to go for.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's just a random comparison, right?
No,
but like you get what I'm saying.
I get it.
Yeah, so that's what. So like it's so great to see this. I'm loving it. It's borderline perfect. I can't wait for episode 3. Do you guys have any other words on it?
No.
So this is our conjoined, a little bit extra longer episode than what we usually would do for our Secret Invasion recap, review, and overview on it. Episodes 1 and 2. We will be uploading this soon. This was just a little catch up we had to play because we did want to cover this show, but we didn't want to start in the middle of it. We definitely wanted to start from the very beginning. To keep continuity. So we will be uploading this as soon as we possibly can, and then as soon as we watch and see and release, as soon as episode 3 releases and we watch it, we will also be recording the episode 3 episode on that and getting that up to you guys so you guys can keep, staying in this open conversation. We want to know your thoughts. We want to know how you're feeling about the show. Do you have any theories? How are you liking it? Do you not like it? Leave a comment down below. We would love to know. And definitely smash that like button because it definitely will help us out as we are just a small channel right now starting to grow. And if you liked what you saw, consider subscribing because we would definitely be very appreciative. And we'll see you guys later this week. And then after the episode 3 episode, we should be able to inform on what our uploading schedule will be. Right now, like I said, we're just playing a little catch up. But other than that, I'm Victor.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jorge.
And this has been the Big Screen Show. And see you guys soon.
Peace.